Happy Wednesday. It is hump day. I hope your week is going very well. My name is Dr. Kitiana Lowe. I go by Dr. K, and I'm the Director of Programs and Events here at WeBEC ORV. And we want to welcome you to our Women of Color, Why Should I Get Certified session. So my thought process by many of you being here means that you are not currently a certified WBE, but we always like to have webinars such as this one so that way we can share more about the certification process and you get a chance to be able to meet some certified WBEs as well. You get some questions answered, very high level questions because I am not the certification team. But we do have some information regarding pricing and things of that nature and a little bit of information about the process, which should help you all as you are going through this certification journey. So we will go ahead and jump in. I always like to take a moment to introduce our team here at ORV. So that way, if you happen to see us out and about in the community, you can put a name with a face. Our president and CEO is Dr. Frederica Singletary. Our fractional CHRO is LaCosta Moore. Our Senior Director of Marketing, Communications, and Engagement is Courtney Martin. On the certification team, these are two people that you'll become extremely familiar with, led by our Director of Certification and Outreach, Colleen Rudisell, our Certification Manager, Robbie Moore, and then down here at the end, we have a Certification Specialist, Anita Steele. And then on the corporate engagement side, you probably won't have too many interactions with her, but our Corporate Engagement Manager is Devin Davis. And then our administrative assistant who keeps us all together and moving in the right direction is Morgan McDonald. And so we are a mighty team who work diligently to do all things that we can do to help you all as WBEs and moving forward in your business. And so I also want to take a moment to introduce or to thank our 2026 Champion Circle. This is a sponsorship offering that we had this year. All of these corporates and WBEs have lockstep with us, and specifically I will say with me, to be able to help me provide the programming that we have at the cost that we do have. So if it were not for all of them, we would not be able to do webinars like this and like Catch the Wave, which is coming up, which we'll talk about later, and things of that nature. So definitely want to thank our Champion Circle. And I want to go ahead and introduce your moderator for today, Lamonda Dye. She is the owner and CEO of LCD Agency Services. She is also the co-chair of our Women of Color program. So I wanted to go ahead and pass things on to her so she can introduce herself.
Well, I think you did a wonderful job at introducing me. Thank you, Dr. K. As Dr. K stated, I'm Lamonda Dye. I am the owner and CEO of LCD Agency Services. And I am delighted that you guys are here joining us to learn more about certification. And hopefully we'll see some of you guys that Catch the Wave this year. And if not, we will see you next year for sure. Next slide, please. All right, so I'll quickly go over the agenda. So let's see here. We've already covered about WeBank and WeBEC. We are going to move forward because we wanted to get our guest speakers in. So we're going to skip around a little bit. But just for preface, what is a WBE? We'll go over that. WBE, WOSB eligibility. I know I am saying a lot of alphabets, but trust me, we will break these down for you. The benefits of your certification. I will introduce our special guest, the process and cost, tips and next steps, and then of course our upcoming events where we will speak more about the Catch the Wave conference.
So
do you want to go ahead and skip to
let me share
the
a little bit about WeBank. So there's WeBank, which is kind of like our parent company, and then there's WeBank ORV, which is we call ourselves an RPO, which is a regional partner organization. So as far as WeBank, so WeBank is actually the largest certifying body of women-owned businesses. You will hear a lot of WBEs that will talk about that certification process, and it can be really I don't want to say over. It can be lengthy, right? It's labor intensive. I don't even want to call it lengthy. It's labor intensive. Jennifer is recently certified. She's shaking her head, right? And the reason why we go through all that we go through and why we put our WBs through all that they go through is because we literally are the gold seal of approval. People, when they find out that you are certified through WeBank, they're like, oh, we know she's legit. We know she's got all her ducks in a row. We know that everything is the way it's supposed to be because they understand this process. Like I said, the largest certifying body of women-owned businesses. We do have 14 regional partner organizations throughout the United States, and you can see them labeled here in the variety of different colors. So regardless of where people are domiciled, they can be affiliated with WeBank, and they can be certified through WeBank. That this also gives you the ability that if you happen to travel or you've got locations in different places and things like that, you can also remain connected with some of those other RPOs as well. But we will say that here at WeBank ORV, ours is the best, but I'm sure everybody probably feels that way. So 14 RPOs. It is a national certification. Nationally, we have over 20,000 WBEs and over 550 corporate members. So those corporate members are those companies that, like I said, have come lockstep in with our organization or with WeBank's organization to support doing business with companies like yours. And then here at WeBank ORV, we handle Ohio River Valley. So it's Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia. And so we provide certification, business development, and training, networking, matchmaking, and things of that nature. Our vision is to be the premier resource for women-owned business development. Here at WeBank ORV, we have over 1,100 certified WBEs and 80 plus corporate members. I'm going to move over actually to this slide here. Lamonda, if you would like to go ahead and introduce Jennifer. As I mentioned, Jennifer is one of our newer WBEs, so we're excited to have her join us.
Yeah. Yes, so excited to have you. So, I'd like to introduce Mrs. Jennifer Walton, the founder and chief brand officer of Nile, Consulting. Thank you so much for joining us. If you wouldn't mind going ahead and sharing, of course, introducing yourself, you know, who you are, a little bit about your business, and then I will just jump in and ask a couple questions.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Good morning, everyone. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here today. Today was also the first day of school, so I'm very emotional. I have a 10 and an 8-year-old, so it's just been quite a day, but I'm excited to be here with you all. My business, Sky Now Consulting, is actually named after my children, so that's just why I bring them up because they're a huge part of how I do what I do and why. I'm also raising 2 girls, so of course. But we are a marketing strategy and branding firm. I say that to say that, you know, we certainly can help with marketing campaigns and things like that, but we are strategists first and foremost. And we love to work with organizations that are trying to elevate or even create their brand story and really help them get their foot into a place where they're opening doors. And so sometimes that even looks like assisting with business strategy. I'm a corporate marketer by training, and so I've been in the Fortune 100. I've also worked in the public sector, which really helped me better understand the importance of certification and how that looks on the other side of the table. And I've been on my own now for 4 going on 5 years. So very excited to be here.
So, well, I will ask you a couple of questions. Uh, and you kind of already answered this, but if you could do a little deeper dive, why did you choose to become certified?
So when I was working in the public sector and we were putting out RFPs for business, there were things that we wanted to understand, which was, are these businesses MBEs or WBEs? Because there were set asides and really federal dollars. I'm not a certifying body, so I may not get it right in terms of how it works on the other side, but it was something that we were actively looking for. And it kind of boiled down to sometimes you know that a business is minority or woman owned, but other times we would see those who had gone through certifying bodies. And what we understood was that the certification process was a vetting process. And so I understood that from the other side of the aisle when I became an entrepreneur and I began to seek my own certifications. And I see someone on this call that was huge on helping me get certified, and that's Hope. But it was it's a very intense process. They ask for the baby and the bathwater, and you're sitting there thinking to yourself, why can't I just submit to you that I am a Black woman? And that kind of gets it covered. But I think Dr. K teed it up perfectly, and it is how I positioned my certifications once I got them, which is to say that my business is vetted. It is pressure tested. It is financially stable. I have had to turn that information over to other people who got all up in my business. I am not I'm not a front for someone
Yeah.
else to kind of slide in and get the business who is setting aside dollars for this purpose. And so I understand, when I did WeBank, I remember asking, with the change at the federal administration and with the focus shifting, did we think that this still mattered? And the person that I met with was like, absolutely. People still are coming to Webeck and they're asking, um, who do you have, right, for
Mhm.
various types of work. And so there are companies that care, even if their websites had to change. And so that is really why I got certified.
Wow, that is awesome. And I'm glad that you mentioned at the end that, there are still other organizations that care. They may not be able to, be on the forefront before and rah, but at least we know that they are still there and that they care. Can you give me an example of a time where you leveraged your certification for business?
Absolutely. So I actually do a lot of business within the public sector. So that's working with a lot of government entities and agencies, and they're going to ask, right? And so I have to submit to them my certifications when I'm answering a request for proposal. But also on top of that, even with entities that don't necessarily ask, it is a part of all my marketing materials. So it's on my website. It is on my proposal templates. And that is a way that I'm able to show that again, not only am I, not only am I a woman-owned or minority-owned business, but I am vetted.
Thank you for that. So as I was listening to you, I heard you say that the seal is on all on your marketing material and things like that. And I believe I mentioned this in the last webinar, but I seek those things out, whether it's my hair care products or if it's something I'm buying in a store. If I see that, I'm buying it because I see that we bake seal on there, or,
Right.
women owned. I'm just like, yeah, I'm going to do that. So it does matter, and it definitely provides value. One last question I have for you. What would you say to someone who is on the fence about becoming certified?
Honestly, I think it's something that there's a real purpose to the certifications and you can leverage that. And I will tell you that I'm sure that all of us don't leverage it as fully as we possibly could, right? Because you can go to SAM.gov and you can look at opportunities and you can see the things that maybe have MBEWE set asides, right? So there's ways to use the systems to better understand how you can get more business. But beyond that, one of the things that I went through another program called the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program. And one of the things that they had us do was kind of do pitches. And a part of a pitch is, do you know your numbers? The thing about certification is it forces you to know. You have to know what your financial standing is. You have to know what your, P&L statements look like, your balance sheets, your statements of cash flows, and then you're renewing every year. And so you're having to do that dive again where there may be times within your business that you're head down, you're not necessarily looking at those things. When you go through to renew your certification, it just kind of comes back to the forefront. So it's a great way to, beyond anything else, even if you're like, I'm not necessarily going after a business that I think people are going to require this of me, it's a great way to stay in the weeds of understanding the status of your business, both financially and strategically.
Jennifer, I like that. I think this is the first time that I've ever heard anybody uh, mention that take on, the certification process, kind of giving you that annual, kick in the butt. That's what I like to
Yeah.
call it. Like, hey, have you been checking your financials and, and all the other things, I also graduated from 10KSB last year and gruesome, but necessary, right? And I learned
Absolutely. It's
some
an
things about
MBA for
my
your business.
it certainly is. But to your point, I wrote down, you said, it helps you check on the status of your business, and it really does. So the certification process, it's just like that status checkpoint, like where am I, and it forces you to, again, look at those financials. And just a shameless plug for 10KSB and the BDP program with WeBank. Those are two programs that I know that will also help with that. Let's see here. Well, I don't have any more questions for you, Jennifer. And I know that your time is kind of limited. Is there anything else that you would like to share with for
So
to anyone, I guess?
So I'm just saying, I see that Henrietta asked about the program. So
Mhm.
the the Goldman Sachs 10K Small Businesses program is an excellent program that I jokingly called it like an MBA for your business, and it was that because I
Mhm.
have an MBA, and an MBA really teaches you to how to work for others, in a sense. But I would say that, that program in particular gave us the opportunity to dive deeper into how to be the CEO of your business, how to move from just owner operator into I am the CEO. And I see Kim's question. I don't know what the minimums are, and I will allow the team to talk to that.
Yeah, we'll get to those. We'll
We
definitely,
will.
we've got more information about eligibility and if there's income requirements and all the kind of stuff in the slides that are coming. So Kim, we'll definitely answer those questions. And then if we've missed anything, definitely let us know and we'll circle back.
I will just add that I have a thing about just how you build your professional community, and it's kind of how I approach building community in general, which I tell people all the time. Your first is like having a personal board of directors, like you've got your sponsor, your mentor, your coach, your peer, your truth teller, and then I always tell people to get in their community 5 people who are doing what they're doing that they can kind of talk to and commiserate with and build with. And then I always say get 5 people who do what you cannot do. And so this is one where I will say comes very handy for the WEBEC ORV, for any other certifications. I also appreciate that with this process, you can also get the WOSB. So again, lots of acronyms, but I'm sure they can explain them. But the big thing there is is really just that you get an accountant, right? Because as business owners, you're gonna have to be in the weeds. And my accountant, she is on me always about reconciling my books and bookkeeping and all those things, right? Um, Good for tax purposes, but again, super good for certifications, really good for pitches, really good for just having that constant practice. And then, getting a lawyer and having folks that do what you cannot do that are in your kind of professional community so that you've kind of got a holistic approach to taking care of business. And I think, again, through this process of getting certified, those things help kind of rise to the top. And so, whereas you want to ignore them, you can't. Thank you all. Thank you again for having me.
Yes, thank you, Jennifer. I really appreciate you joining us today and giving us your nuggets. And hopefully, we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, y'all. Have a good one.
You too.
Thank you. All right, let's jump back in. Can you all see my screen again?
Oh, yep, I can. And I am up, I believe, huh?
I believe so.
Oh, yes. So let's talk about what is a WBE. Well, a WBE is a women's business enterprise, commonly referred to as the WBE, is a woman-owned business that is certified by WeBank. A WBE refers to the business and not the person, even though what's the word I want to use? We use it as a term of endearment. That's what we call it, as we call each other, like, oh, I have a fellow WBE. So it is related to the business and not the person. So Dr. K, give me 1 second here. Let me turn this way because I can hardly see my screen because of the light. So bear with me, you guys. So let me walk you through this a little bit. Jennifer kind of alluded to this. Dr. K, my slide, hold on, looks a little, is WOSB on a different slide? Because I don't want to bring it up if we're going to move forward because mine is missing that. And I don't
Yep, it
want
should be
to
the next
jump ahead.
slide. So this one talks
Okay.
about eligibility.
Okay, well, I'll reserve that then because I have it written here. Didn't want to jump ahead. Sorry for the confusing, you guys. So, certification eligibility. So, you have to be a for-profit independent business, at least 51% owned, operated, and managed, controlled by a woman or women. Female owners must be U.S. citizens or a legal permanent resident. Female owner or other women must hold the highest office in the business. Owner discipline, there must be evidence of legal and managerial control. The owner displays evidence of contribution of capital and or expertise in the business. And then the business must demonstrate independence and the ability to function on its own. No size, no energy industry. There's no length of time that you need to be in business and for you to apply for this certification, which is the bonus. That's the bonus. There it is. The WOSB certification opportunity. So I call this the 2-for-1, right? So once you get your WBE, you can also apply to get your WOSB, which stands for Women Owned Small Business Certification. Next slide, please. The certification benefits. So many, but we have a handful here to discuss with you. So, of course, you have access to supplier diversity and procurement executives. Of course, the WeBank Link 2.0, where you can find training, workshops. You can search for other WBEs that you may want to do business with, and some corporates, right, Dr. K? I think. Or there's okay. There's formal and informal opportunities to pursue business. You'll have access to networking events and programs, which I love. I love the networking events. Eligibility for regional and national awards and recognition. Use of that woman-owned logo that Jennifer and I were just speaking about, and the Women's Business Enterprise Seal as a marketing tool. And trust me, it matters. Community support from other female business owners and like-minded professionals. I don't know about you guys, but that was huge for me when I got certified, just that sense of community and having someone to reach out to, and say, hey, fellow WBEs, are you experiencing this? And then the MOU, there is an MOU with the state of Ohio, which is a memorandum of understanding. So if you decide to become WBE certified with the state, there is an MOU in place where they will take the credentials that we use to become certified with WeBank, and you can submit those same documents and receive your WBE for the state of Ohio. And let me know, or is it, I might be using the wrong words, recognized by the state of Ohio. Right. I think that's
crazy today. So the application process, so the entire process is going to take about 3 to 4 months. Just depends on the complexity of the business that you have. As Jennifer mentioned, we do a annual recertification. The recertification process is not as labor intensive as the initial certification process, but we do want to make sure that every year we double check to make sure that you are still certified or still certifiable by ensuring that you are still women led and all of those things. So basically what you'll want to do is after this session, I always encourage folks take a moment and determine, are you eligible? Are you 51% women owned and operated? Yes or no? That's the easy question, right? Probably the easiest question you have, right? But all of those things are on that previous slide. Like I said, you'll get a copy of this deck. You'll want to go over those things to determine, are you eligible? WeBank is the only, is one of the few, I won't say the only because I don't know if that's true, but we do not require you to have a certain income level. We do not require you to have been in business a certain number of years. So you could have just filed your documentation and started your business yesterday, and you can go ahead and start the process to be certified today. We do not require for you to have a certain number of employees or anything like that. So for Kim, for your question earlier, being a solopreneur, you could definitely be eligible to be certified. And so that once you determine that, yes, I am eligible, this is for me, you'll want to compile the required documentation. There's a lot of information available as to what that documentation is. We have that information on our website. There's information on the Nationals website. And so we'll kind of walk you through the process. I recommend for you to try to compile as much as possible. So that way you've got everything already in your folders in your computer system. And then you'll be able to sit down and once you start your application process and things like that, you'll be able to just drag and drop anything that you need there. And then you'll complete your application. And so as I was talking about, as you're dragging and dropping all of that information, that's a part of that application, asking for tax documentation and bylaws or whatever the case may be that's included in there. You'll put all that information together in that WeBank Link site. And so everything in your application will go in that secured site. So don't think that I understand that the information that you're adding is very personal to you and to your business, but that information is not accessible to everyone. So even myself, I work for WeBank ORV, but I do not have access to any of the information that you put into that portal in any way, shape, or form. I can't see it. Can't see it at all. So you complete your application, and then the certification will review it, and a site visit will be scheduled. That site visit is going to be either with a certification volunteer, or it could be with a member of our staff like myself. But we do not have any of that information that you put into that portal. So you can't say, well, Dr. K, why are you asking me about such and such? I already put it in there. I don't know what you put in there. I can't see it. But we go through a site visit. It only takes an hour. We do ask that you be as responsive as possible when you get that email from the site visit volunteer or from the staff member, so that way we can go ahead and get you scheduled, because that's the last one of the last steps, I will say, in your certification process. So we complete that site visit, and then we give that information back to the certification team. They review everything and determine whether you're certifiable or not. And hopefully all of you would be. And then you're in. You'll receive your email confirmation and everything letting you know that you are now a certified WBE. So once that site visit is completed, please allow about 30 days, sometimes it takes place sooner, for that notification on that final decision. That decision goes out either way, whether you're certified or whether you're not, you will get an answer either way. And then the biggest question that everybody always likes to ask, of course, is how much is it going to cost? So the answer is it depends. And I promise that's not like we're just trying to circumvent the system and not answer your question. It really does depend on your business. It depends on your annual gross revenue of your business. And so we've got 5 tiers. So it could be anywhere from $350 up to $1,250, just depending upon honestly, the success. If you really want to think of it honestly, it's depending upon the success of your business, right? So if you're just getting started and things like that, you're probably at that $350 mark. But I do want to also add that we do have some scholarships that are available, especially for women of color. So if you are interested in being considered for a scholarship, please just shoot me an email and I will connect you with the certification team. I'm going to drop my email address in the chat. And I will get that application over to you, so that way you can apply for that. We don't want money to be a barrier. So please, 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 we only offer this for your initial certification. So don't think like, oh, I'm good right now, but next year I'm gonna get that scholarship later. We really want to make sure that money is not a barrier to anybody with getting certified. So if you do have that need, please definitely reach out via email and we can get you connected for that certification scholarship to help defray that cost for you. Lamonda, I think this was yours. Oh, you're on mute though.
I love technology. I immediately started speaking and then it came up on it, you are on mute. And I'm like, okay, I got it. So let's talk about certification tips and next steps. So next, you'll want to register for the next Becoming a Certified WBE webinar, which is September 3rd. And then visit that WeBank website for a deep dive into the process and the required documents. I'll put a little bit of emphasis on this. Please look over the required documents, because it'll make it so much easier for you when you get ready to sit down and start your certification process. It makes it more frustrating if you have to go back and forth. Now, will there be some things you'll have to go back and get? But if you look at that required documents, print it off or write it down and get most of them, it will help you get through the process and it won't feel so grueling, but worth it. Make sure your bylaws and agreements support female control. And be flexible when it comes to scheduling your site visit. Like Dr. K mentioned, it's only an hour. And then, and note that the entire process takes about 3 to 4 months. And then apply, get approved, and become a part of this amazing network of WBEs. You can forward all of your questions to info@webecorv.org.
And I think that's, yep. Before we move on here, I do want to pause and ask, what questions do you have? Let me stop sharing my screen really quickly. That certification webinar that Lamonda was just talking about is where you will get far more in-depth information about the certification process, documents, and things like that. Those are actually led by our certification team. So I say what questions you have with the caveat that I may not have the answers to them, but we'll definitely do my best. So what questions do you have?
Just saw one in the chat from somebody.
Yeah, I answered that one.
Oh,
Henrietta was
okay.
saying that
Oh,
she does not, she's not in ORV's territory. And so she was asking about the process for other RPOs. And just in case anybody that applies to you as well. So the certification process is the same consistently throughout WeBank. So that process will be the same, but their scholarship opportunities and things like that may be different. They may or may not have staff that do their site visits. It could just be their certification volunteers and things of that nature. But overall, regardless of what RPO you participate in, like the information session, or even if you go to like the Becoming Certified webinar that we have coming up on September 3rd, you'll still get the same information. So definitely go with an option that works for you.
mm,
Do you have the time of, this is Kim,
Yeah, go ahead.
hi. Do you have the time of that webinar or do I just go online to find that out?
I can give it to you. Give me just one
While you look for
second.
that,
I want to
Dr.
say it's
K, I'll answer the
11.
question in the chat. Um, let's see. I want to make sure. So I think this was from Leslie. After certified for renewals, would we get a reminder and what that process looks like? So let me tell you, those are, Leslie, those are lifesavers for me. Yes, you will get a reminder, actually, a few. And I am always so grateful of those because although I've been certified now 8, 9 years, I don't know, I am still grateful for those emails. And so what I typically do is when I see the first one, I'm like, time to get all my ducks in a row. And then by the time I see the second one, I'm like, okay, I'm ready to sit down now. Let's review and see if there's anything else I need. And then, I start the process. But short answer, yes, you will receive reminders of when it's time for renewal. I believe they start about 90 days out, if I'm not mistaken.
Hi, this is
Perfect.
Henrietta. Thank you
Yeah.
for this great webinar. It's been very informative. I had just put my question in the chat. I know that you showed the fees for the initial kind of like application process based on uh, the revenue that your business is bringing in. Are those fees the same for the renewal process? That was my question. And it seems like it's an annual renewal, correct?
Correct.
Yes.
Yes, it is an annual renewal, and those fees are the same.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other
Any,
questions?
any other questions? I see Hope on here. I just wanted to say hi, Hope. Thank you for jumping on and supporting us. Really appreciate you.
Thank you. Glad to see so many ladies interested in getting certified.
Yes. What does
All right.
mentorship look like?
Ooh, good question.
That
So
is
we do not currently have a formal mentorship program at Webeck ORV. It's something that we're giving a lot of thought to and things like that. But we want to be very intentional with what we do. That being said, I will say that one of the things I can say about this organization is there is always someone who is willing and able to be, I don't want to say at your beck and call, to be available for you, right? To make yourself available for you. So within the organization, we have a group called Forum, and those are a group of WBEs who have been selected by, they're recommended by our president and CEO. They've been selected by WeBank and things of that nature. And they do a phone call and or email to every new WBE. So there's the first point of contact, right? Actually, I'll say your first point of contact is you met Lamonda today. She's on this side of my screen. Sorry. You met Lamonda today. So that's your first point of contact, right? And then you've got a member of Forum who will be reaching out, welcome you to WeBank ORV, answering any questions that you have and things like that. These people, I'll be honest, are really going to be your key connectors within the organization. You will see their names, their faces. They facilitate some of our webinars and things like that. So you'll begin to see them frequently. Barb Smith is a woman of color that comes to my mind. She is the CEO of Journey Steel, based in Cincinnati, Ohio. And she is a dynamic woman who is always willing to answer any questions that you have. These women will figure out, they know what your business is and help make connections to you, to other people. Oh, you do such and such. You really need to go to know this person over here. Let me introduce you. Let me, see me at the next event that's coming up, or let me shoot an email. Let's do lunch, or let's do coffee and things of that nature. I really can honestly say, and I don't say it just because I work for the organization, I say it because I really don't see a bunch of like cattiness and things like that people oftentimes expect when you see women coming together. As Lamonda mentioned before, the women here really want to see everybody succeed. So while yes, there are opportunities to do business with corporates, and that's what a lot of folks, they kind of get that laser focus, like, oh, I just want to do a contract with Victoria's Secret. That's my heart's desire. But you skipped over all of these other huge companies, or even small business companies who actually need your services and are interested in doing business with you. So I hope that answers your question, Leslie. So we don't currently have a formal structured mentorship program, but the mentorship opportunities are definitely out there. And if that's something that you're looking for or that you need, I would say kind of in those introductory conversations, you can kind of have those conversations as well to say, hey, I'm really looking for somebody who does X, Y, and Z. Can you help point me in that direction?
And I would just want to jump in and say, I don't mind being your first point of contact. As Dr. K mentioned, I am one of the chairs of the Women of Color Committee, and I know that the women that participate in that program would not mind mentorship at all, myself being included. But Barb Smith, she is the bomb.com. I used to jokingly tell her I stalked her everywhere she went because I wanted to be where she was, so I could figure out how to get in rooms and things like that. And she's very transparent. She's very warm. And she knows how to connect people. She just has a gift of doing so. And even though I've known her a while, even when she emails me now and say, hey, I want you to, meet Lamonda, in this email, I'm like, oh my God, she's still thinking about me. So she won't forget you either. But yeah, there's a lot of women in the forum and in the Women of Color program team that would not mind assisting you in that way.
And I'll also add, Henrietta, and I don't know exactly where you're located if you want to drop that in the chat, but all of the webinars that we offer are always open to anyone, regardless of where you're located. And so these relationships and connections that I'm speaking of, they aren't just limited to people who are in Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia. Obviously, it's maybe a little bit easier, but I remember we had a Bold and Brilliant event 2 years ago. I think it was the very first one that we did. And one of the people that we recognized was not from our RPO. However, she and Barb had some similarities or crossovers in their business, and I think connected and are doing business together even potentially to this day. So, definitely, excuse me, definitely, even if you aren't located here, you can still attend any of the webinars that we have. You can still get connected to us and things like that. You can come attend all the in-person stuff that we have as well. I see you're in New Jersey. So you are welcome to attend. The team, I know I want to say it's the DMV team that's over that area now. They've redone some org, so I don't know exactly if that's the exact name, but they're a really great team over on that side as well.
Mhm.
If there aren't any more questions, I want to do a couple more things. So we always believe that feedback is a gift, and so I do have a survey that I'm going to put up on the screen. If you are if you have the ability to do so, if you can pull out your phones and scan this QR code and fill out this brief survey for us, that just gives us additional information regarding this session. If you are not in the position to do so, that's fine. You will receive a recap email. Probably by Friday, I believe. That will have, like I said, the link to this recording. It will have the deck. It will also have a link to the survey. So we just ask that whenever works best for you, if you can just give us just a couple of moments to fill out the survey for us, we would greatly appreciate that. And then while you're doing so, I want to take a quick moment to kind of talk about some of the upcoming events that we do have here at WeBEC ORV. We do have that becoming a certified WBE that we were just talking about on September 3rd. I will say before I even go to that, if you all are, well, hope I was gonna say the rest of you are probably new. So we have our annual conference taking place on August 24th. So that is on Monday and Tuesday. It's called Catch the Wave. That's what Lamonda was referencing earlier. And this year it is in Louisville, Kentucky. Our registration for that conference has officially closed. However, if you do have a desire to be in the room, being at one of our conferences is what I would say is probably one of the best ways to truly get to know people, get to know who folks are. We do have an offering for you to be able to purchase a ticket, even though you are not a certified WBE. So if that's something that you're interested in, just shoot me an email and let me know. And then as we talk about September, we do a coffee break on the first Wednesday of every month, although this one is actually going to be on the second Wednesday. This one is going to be on financial risk management, so that may be something that you may be interested in. And you can scan this QR code that's here on the screen. It's going to take you to our events page, and it will allow you to register for all the events that we have. The Doing Business with Cincinnati Children's on September 10th, that is not something that you would be able to attend. That is for our certified WBEs only. But we left it here because we do want to explain that we do have some sessions that are just for our certified WBEs, the perk of your certification. And it is where our corporate members carve out some time to meet with all of you who are attending the webinar to talk about what they do, why they do it, why they want to work with businesses like yourselves. And oftentimes they may share any opportunities that they may have coming up that you all may be interested or eligible to be able to apply for. But like I said, that is something that's offered just to our certified WBs only. And then one thing that is always very important, if you do not already have one, is an effective capability statement. If you do not have a capability statement, aren't quite sure what it is, or know that yours needs a little bit of help, you may want to register for this webinar. A capability statement, if you aren't familiar, is kind of like your business resume. And so it's really what corporates and even some WBEs are looking for you to provide them for them to be able to learn more about your business and your organization and what you do. And then we do have a in-person WB Connect coming up on September 30th. So if you are in or near the Cincinnati area, that is a chance to be in the room together and network together. And then we do have a construction summit that is coming up on October 13th. So I always tell people you do not have to be in the construction industry to attend the construction summit. If you are in marketing, I guarantee you there's somebody in that room who needs some assistance with their marketing, whether it's the corporate, whether it's a WBE, or whatever the case may be. So definitely that is a session that you may want to attend as well. Your question, is this open to men? Yes. So we call our men he's for she's. That's the term that you will hear us refer to the men. So we are always able and allowed to have men attend all of our sessions. We do not discriminate in any way, shape, or form. You will see men sprinkled anywhere and everywhere, in-person events as well as online. So yes, your husband would definitely be more than welcome to register and attend to any of these sessions, whether it's in person or whether it's virtual. And then the last thing that I have is our annual meeting to save the date for December 16th. Our corporate office is in the Mason, Ohio area, which is outside of Cincinnati. And so we will be doing our annual meeting and year-end celebration there. That is all I have. Any other questions at all? If you happen to think of any after we click leave this meeting and then all of a sudden 3 more questions come to your mind, please don't hesitate to shoot me an email and reach out. If I don't know the answer, I can definitely connect you to the person who can best answer those questions for you. But we are always available, willing and available to answer any questions that you have and help you as you're getting ready to go through the certification process. Lamonda, you have any final words?
I just want to say thank you to everybody that attended today, and hopefully we will see you guys soon, either at a conference or asking questions about the certification process.
Yes, definitely. Thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your day.